The next few poses will be done in a standing position. Please move slowly and at your own pace. Keep the sturdy chair nearby for balance if needed. If you find that I'm talking faster than you are moving, please take your time and do fewer repetitions. Take a nice deep inhale and exhale. Place the feet about hips-width apart and grounded on the floor. Lift the toes and spread them nice and wide, and feel the navel pull gently in towards the spine. Push the toes into the floor and lean forward just a little bit. Feel the muscles that keep you steady. Lean back just a little bit and feel the toes come up. Feel the muscles that keep you steady in this position. Now push all four corners of the feet into the floor. Notice the steadiness of mountain pose. Notice how the steadiness of mountain pose feels. On the next inhale, roll the shoulders towards the ears, back and down so the shoulders are slightly open. Let the palms rest open to the side. Inhale and let the arms rise with the palms facing up. Exhale, bend at the elbows and allow the hands to come down the center line. Sink into the knees just a little. Repeat this again. Inhale, lift the arms with the palms facing up. Allow the hands and face to be relaxed. Continue with this movement at your own pace. Breathe as you move, and try to coordinate the breath with the movement. On the next breath, lift the arms back over the head. Fingertips point in, palms face up. Imagine that you have candles in the palms of your hands and you do not want to spill them. Turn the fingertips so they face behind you. The palms remain up. Turn the fingertips to the side and then to the front like an offering, then out to the side walls. Breathe as you move, up to the top with the fingers facing in again, towards one another, and then forwards like an offering, then out to the side walls. Breathe as you move, up to the top with the fingers facing in again. Let's do this rotation one more time. After the second rotation, allow the hands to cascade down by the side and let them rest. Pause for one slow inhale and exhale. One more breath. Inhale, exhale. This next exercise is excellent for strengthening the spine and gently stretching the muscles of the back, front, and sides. Attempt to make the movement easeful and gentle. We will do these movements with various arm positions. The first arm position is the easiest. Please be sure to stay with the one that feels best for your body. We will demonstrate them all. Take the right hand to the waist and then the left. Roll the shoulders open. And on the exhale, lean to the right. Inhale to the center. On the exhale, lean to the left. Inhale back to the center. Roll the shoulders up, back, and down. And on the next inhale, gently pull the navel towards the spine. Pull the shoulder blades softly together. Get a small lift in the chin and feel a sense of lengthening through the front of the body. On the next exhale, begin to fold gently forward. It does not have to be all the way. Bend the knees slightly. Inhale and rise back to a standing position. Open the left arm to the side. Keep the elbow bent. Leave the right hand on the waist. Inhale. Exhale, lean slightly to the right, and then return back to the center. Bring the left hand down to the waist. Lift the right arm. Inhale. Exhale and lengthen to the left. Return to the center. Roll the shoulders open. Gently pull the navel in towards the spine. Pull the shoulder blades softly together. Get a small lift in the chin. Exhale and fold forward halfway. Inhale back to standing. Open the left arm again. Inhale, and on the exhale, lean to the right. Inhale and return back to the center. Place the left hand on the waist. Lift the right arm. Inhale. On the exhale, lean to the left. Inhale and return back to the center. Roll the shoulders open. Lengthen through the front of the body. Slightly pull the shoulder blades together. Get a small lift in the chin. Exhale and fold forward. Knees slightly bent. Inhale and return to standing in mountain pose. Pause for a moment. Inhale and exhale. For this warrior sequence, attempt to keep the movements gentle and relaxed. If you notice that you are struggling, move the feet closer together. Lower the arms or make the movements smaller. This pose is great for strengthening the legs, respiration, and opening the shoulders. Step the left foot forward just a few feet. The back foot points in at a 45-degree angle. The front knee bends and the hips face front if possible. Inhale, open the arms and bend at the elbows. On the exhale, bring the hands and elbows towards each other. Inhale, open the arms and push the heart softly forwards. Relax the shoulders. Exhale, bring the arms together. Inhale, open the arms to where you feel comfortable. Exhale, relax the arms inwards. Inhale, open and expand. Exhale, contract. Inhale, exhale. Bring the hands back down by the side. Return to mountain pose. One breath here. Inhale, exhale. Step the right foot forward. Take a moment, there's no rush. Ground the back foot into the floor. Bend the front knee. When you are ready, open the arms. Inhale. Exhale, bring the hands and elbows towards one another. Inhale, open the arms. This is a relaxed opening in the chest. Exhale, bring the hands and arms towards one another. Inhale, repeat again, creating spaciousness with a full inhale. Exhale, contract and relax the arms slightly. 2 more times at your own pace. Inhale, open. Exhale, close. Let the hands rest down by the side and return back to mountain pose. Pause here for a few breaths.
When we talk about the mind in meditation, it's something rather different from what we normally talk about in the context of Western psychology. The important distinction is between body and mind. And when we mean the mind, we're not really talking about the brain, but more our sense of awareness or our sense of attention, something that can either be within the space of the body or it can be pulled away outside the body by things that are competing for our attention. Some people say it's rather like the software in the machine or the ghost in the machine. And you might think, well, if it's all in the imagination, then surely it's not very important. But in fact, this awareness or mind of ours can have a very big influence on our subjective well-being. Whether we love or hate our life generally is about what we make of our life, and a lot of that is to do with our attitudes, and those are the sort of things that reside in our mind. A lot of it is to do with where our mind is located, and the theory behind the meditation is that if body and mind are in the same place, if they're concentric, then that will make for the greatest amount of happiness in life. But what tends to happen is that our mind gets pulled away from us to the things around us. And as a result of that, then we have very little control over our state of mind, and it tends towards the more negative ways of looking at the world. So what we are trying to achieve with meditation, and it doesn't really matter what sort of meditation you do, because there are many ways of doing it, but the behind the scenes, what meditation is trying to achieve is to take the mind that's normally far separated from the body and bring it back within the space of the body again. So the strange thing about the mind is that normally we can't see it. So we're dealing with something which is invisible to us. It's not something where you can go and get an X-ray or you can get an MRI scan of it and detect where it's located. But it's something which subjectively we can locate as we get better at meditation. And although we can't see the mind directly, but we can see objects that reside in the mind. And if you'd like to try a little thought experiment for me, for those of you who are new especially, if you imagine a picture of the sun shining, can you imagine that? Yes, I see a few nods there. So this picture of the sun, and I guess you're not looking out of your window to see that, it's actually something which you see with your mind's eye. It's something you create in the mind. You might say, well, I've seen it before with my eyes, but now you're seeing it with your mind. And just to test that theory, you could even imagine a purple sun, I'm sure. Purple colored sun? And I don't think you've seen one of those. We saw a red one yesterday with all the smoke in Azusa, but purple, I don't think we have that in reality yet. So it's something the mind creates. And the interesting thing about an object like that in the mind is it tells us two important things about the mind. Firstly, where is the mind located? Because normally we can't see the mind, but if we can find that object somewhere, we know where that is located, then the mind itself is going to be exactly the same place. The second thing which an object like that tells you is just how good is your concentration. Because the moment your mind slips off the mark, if you are distracted just for a moment, then the picture will disappear. So the fact that you can maintain an object, an imaginary object like that in your mind means that you have your concentration at a certain level for as long as you can maintain the object in your mind. If your mind slips away, it's not the end of the world. You just bring your mind back again to the object. If the object disappears, you can think of a new one. And I will say that some people work better with a picture, some people work better with a feeling. So if you are feeling the warmth of the sun without necessarily seeing a picture of it, that's also a very good object to use in your meditation. It works by exactly the same principle. So this ability of ours to see with the mind, you could call it a sixth sense. And most people get pretty excited when they hear they've got a sixth sense. But in fact, it's part of the standard equipment. It's just that we don't use it very much, not unless we're an architect or something. Generally, we've got five senses: our ability to see, hear, smell, taste, and touch things, but they are all directed externally. But this internal sense, the sixth sense, is something that works directly with the mind, and it becomes very important to us when we're learning to meditate. So it ought to be pretty easy. We just control the mind, keep it where it needs to be, and then end of story. We're going to be happy for the rest of the afternoon. Unfortunately, it doesn't happen as easily as that, because sometimes we have obstacles when we are meditating, things that interfere with the process and stop us from having a continuous awareness of what's going on in our practice. These tend to come in two forms. First is distractions, things around us that pull our attention away from our internal focus. So that's one category. And the other thing comes more from the inside. That can be the thoughts coming into our mind that are distracting us, as it were, from our mental chatter. And as we're meditating, then there are two different ways to deal with each of these possible obstacles. If your mind wanders away from the center of the body, then first of all, you need to have a tangible place to bring it back to. And the place I'll be suggesting is one that I hope you are familiar with to some extent, which is down at the solar plexus, down at the center of our stomach. That's where we'd like to bring our awareness back to if the mind wanders off. If we know where our mind is at any moment, then it makes it easier to keep track of it. So our mind wanders off, we bring it back. If the inner object disappears, or we lose touch with it, then we just recreate a new one without making a big fuss about it. And little by little, then we gradually will train the mind to stay more and more at our center. As for dealing with the thoughts in the mind, well, this is a different sort of noise in the mind, one that is composed of words and chatter. And to use an expression, sometimes to fight fire with fire is the best solution. So we use a verbal sort of anchor in order to insert a word of our own into the mind so that the random thoughts and words don't hijack our mind. The technical name for such a verbal anchor is a mantra, which you may have heard in a sort of business-like context. But basically, it's any word, generally something that is memorable and meaningful to you, which you can use to basically block that channel of the mind so that you don't get random thoughts coming in and interrupting your meditation. So if our mind wanders, we bring it back. If we have a lot of thoughts in the mind, we fight it off by having the sound of a mantra passing through our mind. A mantra is not a word you say out loud, but it's something, again, that you imagine, often with the sound of the word coming up from the center of your body. So it's just to occupy that mental, verbal loop in the mind so that you don't get other things interrupting your train of concentration. As for meditation in overview, although we'll be meditating for an hour today, and normally we don't meditate that long, but seeing as it's a retreat, then we will take the opportunity. Generally, any meditation we do, we need to make sure, first of all, our body is relaxed. So we spend the first 5 minutes of any meditation making sure we have a good posture, making sure that we have no tension left in the body, and trying to get comfortable enough to be able to forget our body and turn our attention towards our mental state instead. The second 5 minutes of any meditation practice is generally to do with adjusting our state of mind to shed any unwanted thoughts from the mind, to open up a space within us as a sort of staging area for our meditation practice, and to put ourselves in a positive state of mind. Only then do we do this exercise with focusing at our center and using the mantra if we have to deal with any thoughts in the mind. A mantra I'll suggest for you are the two Indian words Samma Arahang, but there's no reason you can't use a mantra of your own. Some people like to use something slightly more familiar, like brighter and brighter, clearer and clearer, or any word that may come from your own religious tradition, for example, as something which you would use in order to clear your mind of the thoughts. So while meditating, you'd be focusing at your center gently with the inner object, and then hearing the sound of the mantra if you have a problem with those thoughts. As for the meditation posture, I don't know how you're fixing up. It looks like most of you are sitting on a sofa or a chair of some sort, but ideally speaking, you could sit on a meditation mat, in which case you would sit cross-legged like that, or in a half lotus position. Notice the way the hands are put together, with the right hand on top of that left hand and the index finger of the right hand touching against the thumb of the left hand. And even if you're sitting on a chair or a sofa, you can still put your hands together in that way. It will help to keep you halfway awake. And try to sit with your back fairly straight no matter what posture you're using. The idea is not to fall asleep when meditating, although some people feel even that is progress. The ideal thing is to be awake but also relaxed. So we try to strike a balance in our meditation by getting our posture right. So far, so good. So what I'll do now is lead you through a meditation. Towards the end of the meditation, there's something known as a loving kindness meditation, which is taking what the energy or the visualization which we've built up for ourselves during the meditation practice, and we gradually take that starting from our center, and we allow that to spread outwards as in wider and wider circles, somehow to share the positivity of the meditation with those around us, to give something back to the world from the positivity of our meditation. So you'd like to start by finding a comfortable position for yourself in meditation. With your right leg on your left leg, your right hand on your left hand, with the index finger of your right hand touching against the thumb of your left hand. With your hands palm upwards on your lap. Find a position for yourself by which you feel alert and yet relaxed. Not leaning too far forward, nor too far back. Not leaning to the right, nor to the left. Find a position of poise for yourself. Make sure your breathing and your circulation are natural and unimpeded. And adjust the position of your body to minimize any possible aches or pains. Make sure you're sitting comfortably as possible. And relax every muscle of your body. Relax every muscle, starting with the muscles of your forehead, your eyebrows and eyelids, making sure your eyes are only very gently closed. Never squeeze your eyes closed, but close your eyes gently in just the same way you close your eyes to go to sleep. Make sure there's no heaviness on your eyelids. If you notice that your eyes are closed too tightly, or if there's heaviness on your eyelids, you may need to open your eyes and close them again more gently. Close your eyes in just the same way you close them to go to sleep. And relax the muscles of your face. Relax your neck, your shoulders, both arms, down to the tips of your fingers. Relax your chest, trunk and abdomen, both of your legs, down to the tips of your toes. So that all the way from the top of your head to the tips of your toes, there's no remaining part of your body with any stress or tension anymore. If you notice any tension remaining in your body, then do your best to relax it completely. Because if your body is completely relaxed, you have the feeling as if your body seems to melt away into the atmosphere around you. And you have no further worries about your body anymore. Once your body is completely relaxed, you can turn your attention to relaxing the mind. The easiest and most efficient way to relax the mind is to forget temporarily about every worry and concern in your everyday life. No matter whether it be thoughts of work, friends, family, studies, finances, or any other thing. Don't think about your future and don't think about your past. And keep your mind entirely in the present moment, making your mind light, radiant, spacious and refreshed. Light like a feather, radiant like the morning sun, spacious like the ocean, and refreshed like a flower bud in the early morning dew. If you like, you may like to think of all the merits which you have done in your past, whether it be the merits of generous deeds for the benefits of society around you, donations to the temple, offering of robes, keeping the precepts purely, even meditation and chanting in your daily life. If you think about all the merits you have performed, and in the end, you have a feeling of joy and happiness in the mind, as if the merit moves you to the extent that you feel refreshed inside. We cherish such a feeling of happiness in our mind for a few moments, as if all the happiness seems to come from the center of our body. And when we feel relaxed, both in body and in mind, very gently, using no effort at all, we allow our attention to settle and to center to a point in the middle of our stomach, as if in the center of our stomach was just an empty space. An empty space without any muscles or tissues, without any organs or bones. Just an empty space inside ourselves, like a cavity, a hollow cavity. And now, very gently, without any effort at all, we imagine that the bright, shining sun, which we imagined a few moments ago, is shining from the center of our stomach. A sphere of light shining from the inside of our stomach. We imagine the object with a light and gentle attention as continuously as we can, for as long as we can, without letting the mind wander anywhere else. If the mind wanders to the sounds around us, to the sensations in our body, or to the thoughts in our head, as soon as we realize, we bring our mind back again to the center of our body and continue as before. Our mind may wander 100 times, 1,000 times, but we should pay no attention to the irregularity by which our mind tends to wander. It is our job each time only to bring our mind back again to the center and continue as before. If our bright object disappears, then we can think of a new one. We don't need to worry whether we see the object clearly or not. We just have to accept the object however clearly we can see it. Even if we can see only a part of it, even if we can see only a shadow of it, even if we can only see it not so clearly as with our eyes, we have to accept it as we see it. At the same time, not entertaining any thoughts in our mind. If you find that you have a strain of thoughts coming up in your mind, it may be necessary for you also to use the sound of a mantra. Samma Arahang, Samma Arahang, Samma Arahang, over and over again, as if the sound of the mantra seems to come like a silent music from the center of your body. Samma Arahang, Samma Arahang, Samma Arahang, over and over again. You should check that your attention is only very light at the center. Make sure you don't use too much effort when you are meditating. If you use too much tension when you are meditating, even too much enthusiasm, what you will find is that there is a certain degree of stress on your eyebrows or across your shoulders. If you find that that is true for you, then try to loosen up a little bit more. Try to relax more as you imagine the bright object. However, if you find your mind wandering very easily, or if you feel sleepy in your meditation, then sometimes you need to keep your mind a little bit more firmly at the center of your body. Always keep your mind with the bright object at your center, observing the bright object as continuously as you can, for as long as you can, without letting your mind wander anywhere else. Observe the object without entertaining any thoughts in your mind. Don't feel elated by the pleasing things you see. Don't feel disappointed by the displeasing things that you see. Don't try to resist anything which comes up in the mind. But at the same time, don't have any expectations about what you might see in the future. Simply rest your mind, observing as continuously as you can for as long as you can at the center. Keep your mind always at the center of what you see, the center of the bright sphere of light, or the center of the Buddha image inside yourself, if that's what you prefer. Eventually, as you train the mind, always bringing the mind back to the center, the things that you see in the mind and the things that you feel in the mind will become gradually clearer. Almost like a person who holds a camera with a still hand will get much clearer pictures than a person who holds a camera with a shaking hand. In the same way, as our mind becomes more still and more firmly established at the center, then the images and feelings that we receive via the mind will become clearer to us. However, the thing which is rather strange is that the more firmly the mind becomes established at the center, the less will become the number of thoughts in the mind. The number of thoughts in the mind will become less and less, till eventually there are no remaining thoughts in the mind anymore, and the mind can come to a standstill at the center. A standstill means that the mind rests inside the body without any thinking anymore. Some people think that the mind is nothing without thinking. But if you reach this point in your meditation, you'll find out that in fact, the mind without thought is much more powerful than the mind caught up in concepts. The mind that is free of all thoughts can start to draw upon consciousness at a deeper level. Consciousness which we call the gut feeling of the mind, consciousness which we call the inner wisdom of the mind. Once we switch on to these things, then it will be like a light within ourselves, which will start to unravel the mysteries of our life and the world around us. Because wherever there is light, then there is knowledge. Wherever there is knowledge, then no ignorance can creep in. All the other things, whether it's fear, greed, hatred, delusion, no longer have a place to hide themselves anymore. Because once we have understood the reality of the world through inner experience, then no one can persuade us to understand the world differently anymore, because we have seen the nature of the world for ourselves. So now for a few more moments in silence, each their own meditation, cultivating the mind at the center with your bright object and the sound of the mantra, for a few more moments in silence until we come to the appropriate time. Always keep your mind at a standstill at the center of the body as continuously as you can, for as long as you can, without letting your mind wander anywhere else. If you find your mind is attracted away by the sounds around you, sensations in your body, or thoughts in your head, as soon as you realize, always bring your mind back again to the center and continue as before. Cultivate your mind in this way as continuously as you can for as long as you can, with or without the mantra, depending on your own style. mind is always at the center of our body, remaining at a standstill at the center, or whatever inner experience we have attained for ourselves. For some people it will be like a clear, bright sphere of brightness at the center of the body. For other people it may be like a bright, clear Buddha image at the center of the body. For others still it may be like a feeling of warmth or well-being at the center of the body. Whatever sort of inner experience we have attained for ourselves, we place our attention very gently at the center of that experience, the very center of the inner experience within ourselves. Touching gently the same lightness of a feather floating down to touch upon the surface of some water. So lightly that the feather doesn't even break the surface of the water. In the same way, we touch our attention, the center of our inner experience within ourselves. We touch our mind at the center with just the right amount of attention. What we will find is that the inner sphere of the mind will gradually expand outwards in size, expanding gradually outwards till it is the same size as the whole of our body. As if we were sitting inside a sphere of our own well-being or a sphere of our own light. We make the wish that may we ourselves be well and happy, may we be free from all suffering. And touching our mind again at the center of the body, the sphere of well-being or the sphere of light spreads outwards beyond our own body, spreading outwards in all directions, just like the moonlight shines outwards from the full moon in the night sky, or just as a block of ice sends the coolness outwards in all directions around itself into the atmosphere around it. In the same way, we spread our loving kindness outwards in all directions around ourselves, spreading the sphere of loving kindness outwards to encapsulate the whole of the room in which we are sitting for meditation, making the wish that may all living beings here in this room be well and happy, be free from all suffering. We spread our loving kindness further outwards still, spreading outwards from the center of our body to encapsulate the whole of the building in which we are sitting for meditation. Again, with the wish that may all living beings here in this building be well and happy, be free from all suffering. We spread loving kindness further outwards beyond the building, outwards in all directions around us, into the neighborhood around us. Again, with the wish that may every living being here in the neighborhood be well and happy, be free from all suffering. We spread loving kindness further outwards to the whole of this city. You find it easier to imagine as a map which you see from above. And imagine the city so spreading loving kindness outwards to encapsulate the whole of the map of the city in all directions all around. So there is no part of the city not touched by the coolness and radiance of your loving kindness. Again, making the wish that may every living being here in this city be well and happy, be free from all suffering. We spread our loving kindness outwards, further beyond the city limits, to the whole of the country. Spreading our loving kindness outwards to the very borders of the country, in all directions all around. Spreading our loving kindness without exception to the very borders of the country, in all directions all around. Again, with the wish that may every living being here in this country be well and happy, be free from all suffering. We spread our loving kindness outwards to all the neighboring countries too, all the neighboring countries all around. Spreading forth our loving kindness in all directions to all living beings without exception. Again, with the wish that may every one of these living beings be well and happy, be free from all suffering. We spread our loving kindness outwards again to the whole of the continent. Spread our loving kindness outwards to the whole of the continent around us, every country of this continent. So our loving kindness spreads its coolness and radiance to every country on this continent. Again, with a wish that may every living being on this continent be well and happy, be free from all suffering. We spread our loving kindness further outward still to every continent of the world. So there's no corner of the world not touched by the radiance, coolness of our loving kindness. Spreading our loving kindness to every place on the surface of our planet. Again, with a wish that may every living being without exception, whether on the land, in the air, or in the sea, be well and happy, be free from suffering, live together in peace and harmony so that true peace may prevail on our world. We spread our loving kindness outwards in all directions all around, outwards into the universe, to the front and to the back, the right and the left, above and below. Putting our loving kindness outwards into the universe around us. The wish that wherever there may be living beings, may they too be touched by our coolness and radiance of our loving kindness. In such a way we spread our loving kindness without limits. Without limits and without exceptions, outwards into the universe, the galaxies and the cosmos around us. And having spread loving kindness in this way, we condense our awareness back down to the center of our body again. Taking careful note the brightness, the clarity, and the feeling of peace and joy at the center of our body. In particular, taking mental note, the feeling of well-being at the center of our body. Remembering this feeling as well as we can. So this feeling of well-being is very important for us. It represents the state of progress in meditation that we have made up till now. If we can remember this feeling as well as we can, the next time we come to meditate again, we can start again from this feeling. Starting again from this feeling, we can continue to make progress the next time we come to meditate again. So for the last few moments of this meditation, take a few moments to take mental note of the state of your progress in meditation. Remember the feeling as well as you can for a few more moments in silence. Sappa Putthanupavena, Sappa Dhammanupavena, Sappa Sankhānupavena Sattha Soti Bhavantu Te. We'd like to come to the end of your meditation for this afternoon. You can gradually open your eyes again. If you feel at all uncomfortable, then slowly try changing to a more comfortable position and gradually finish your practice.